Welcome, everyone. This is James Black at the Canadian Securities Exchange. This is an issuer update with InnoCan, symbol INNO on the CSE. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Iris Bincovich, CEO, and Dr. Joseph Pergolizzi, who is also a scientific advisor to the company. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much, Iris, for joining us. Why don't you just start the proceedings today by giving us a quick introduction of yourself and the company, and then Joseph, yourself after that.
Thank you, James. So as stated, InnoCan is listed on the CSE. I'm the CEO and one of the founders. We have two major activities, our wellness revenue stream and our development of injectable synthetic CBD targeting pain relief. We have demonstrated a lot of milestones over the years. I think now, once we got the FDA pathway of 505(b)(2), which I'm sure Joe will elaborate, we are in a promising routes to develop something new with less of side effect, targeting a very stable and safe and effective solution for chronic pain management. What I learned along the years that partnership and working with the different collaboration status is the major key of a company's success. We are very privileged to work with the Hebrew University and Professor Chezi Bernholz, and with regulatory experts and healthcare experts. One of them is Joe. So Joe, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Iris, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning. I am a MD, MBA. I have been in the pharmaceutical drug development world for about 30 years now, and I specialize on perioperative drugs and devices and the development of them, particularly analgesics. So I've been involved with the majority of analgesics that are on the market in Canada, the US, and in Europe, particularly the new ones. And I'm really excited about this opportunity. I agree, a collaboration is very important, particularly when you're developing such an important asset. And this particular one really is. You know, chronic pain affects about 1/3 of the global population. And it really depends on how you define it. You can define it based on the duration of the pain, and then you can further develop it and define it based on the mechanism of action of that pain. So it could come from a nerve, it come from your joints, from your muscles, etc. It can be related to other things like cancer or diabetes. And so unfortunately, all of us at some point in time in our life will experience pain. And chronic pain is more than just experiencing pain. It actually dehumanizes the individual, decreases their quality of life and their activities of daily living, and results in suffering. And that's a big difference. So when you look at what we're trying to develop, we're looking at a long-acting cannabinoid type of a drug. And this would be a synthetic, which allows us to really explore the medicinal opportunities of this class of drugs. And by providing it in a long-acting type of formulation, what we call a liposomal formulation, we may be able to apply it once a month. So just think about that. If you have chronic pain, you're normally taking medications at least 2 or 3 times a day. This could either be used once a month or in combination with those, so you could take less. So it's really exciting because of the prevalence of pain globally.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone knows about the opioid crisis and the relationship Big Pharma has to the fact that these drugs are everywhere, right? Fentanyl being one of the big problem generators here in our society in Canada, at least from an addiction standpoint. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. So maybe just taking a step back, you've had a very busy year, and let's talk about just the technology at a very base level. How did you guys get to this point over the years of building a cannabinoid or a platform? This is work I know, Iris, you've been working on for years. How did you guys get to this point using this type of technology?
So we noticed the efficacy of CBD in pain reduce. The challenge was the bioavailability, or how the body absorbed, because the body actually destroyed in the liver the CBD. And we were challenging ourselves how to deliver it in a very effective way. And having, the 100% active. So incorporating this big molecule, which is not dissolved in many solvents, was quite a challenge. We have several patent pending families to protect this development. So loading this into an injection, one injection that is being done once a month, was challenging, but I think it's a win-win. You don't have to overdose yourself. You don't have to use a lot of medicine. It's a very effective. We found out that by this injection, you have a therapeutic level of CBD in the bloodstream. Consist results. We didn't see any side effects. So, Joe, from your experience compared to alternative medicine, what is your angle?
Well, there's a lot of excitement. This class of drugs presents a real great opportunity. And the fact that we will be able to create a once monthly injection, just from a compliance standpoint, is really exciting. And based on the preclinical work, particularly in various animal species, the excitement got even higher. And what we were able to observe is that we could match blood levels with pain relief in these particular type of preclinical settings. So we went forward to the United States FDA, and we had a meeting with them. And the first thing we asked is, what pathway can we use for development? And we were advised that the 505(b)(2) pathway, which is leverages pre-existing information from other approved drugs, would be suitable. So that allows us to use that type of data that's already available to enhance our better understanding of how we can expeditiously develop this drug for humans. So we have a plan of action that takes us through the various stages of development, starting with normal healthy volunteers, and then working all the way through different types of chronic pain situations. These will include pain related to nerve, what we call neuropathic pain. It will also include what we call nociceptive pain, and that's pain related to your muscles or joints, and a broader group which combines both, called nociplastic pain. We've reached out to some of the most prominent pain doctors in the world, and from different types of clinical settings, not just the anesthesia pain doctors, which are usually the last line of defense. We're called the tertiary pain doctors, but we also have very prominent emergency room medicine doctors, family doctors, rehabilitation. And the reason is because all of them are looking for a solution. Right now, in the United States, legislation that recently passed called the No Pain Act, and this is trying to explore the use of non-opioid analgesics. And that's exactly where this drug would fall into. So it's very important, particularly for our older population. And unfortunately, around the globe, we have an upside down patient population pyramid with more older patients than younger patients. So this could present a great opportunity for some very common things like osteoarthritis and back pain. I mean, all of us will know somebody, or unfortunately, during the course of our life, have some type of back pain. Osteoarthritis is globally prevalent, and what we find is that the current medications either are limited in their effectiveness or their safety. And what we're going to try to do is develop this drug in a very safe and effective manner so that we can understand where it best works. We just actually finished a very interesting review of the clinical trials that are listed on the clinicaltrials.gov, a U.S. Repository of various studies. And I think we have a very clear path on what we can address from a chronic pain standpoint. So a lot of excitement, a real need, and it addresses some of the issues that you have already brought up.
That's a great overview. You answered my question about regulatory pathway. Obviously, when you develop a molecule and a treatment, you're going to have to go through many steps with many governing bodies and go through trials. So you mentioned all this in the context of humans, but I believe there's a veterinary application as well to this
Yes,
technology.
exactly. As said, we have a lot of experience in different species of animal, especially dogs. After the COVID, just in the US, 90 million people own a pet. And it's a growing. In Japan, I heard that on every 3 dogs, there is one baby. So it's a growing market. They actually suffer from the same diseases as human, especially having hard time to walk, climb stairs, and different kinds of pain-related issues. We did several clinical tests on dogs, and we saw high efficacy in those conditions. And this is a great target market. It has a lot of potential. It's a win-win for the owners, for the dogs themselves. One injection being administered by the vet once a month. So actually, we are working parallel on both targets, human application, and the veterinary market, and we are really, really excited to pave the way for a chronic pain-free environment and world.
Yeah, I've had back pain before, and it's at its worst debilitating. And I also have an 18-year-old cat in the house, so we could be doing this thing all day over here. I'm going to throw back to you, Joseph, but I wanted to just go back to the No Pain Act. I've never heard of this before. Right. Obviously, it's a U.S. Piece of legislation, but I assume that has something to do with trying to balance the scales of addressing pain in a population that is getting older, but also, on the other hand, trying to mitigate the issues arising, like I mentioned, from the opioid crisis. So where do you see this technology, this platform sort of being a part of this solution, and how it's going to be, how you're going to be supported through this act or navigate this act, trying to get this product to market?
Well, that's an excellent question. And, I applaud the U.S. government and particularly the Division of Analgesic and Anesthetic Products at FDA when it comes to really reaching out and trying to find non-opioid analgesic options. And this is one of those. This is not a steroid. This is not an opioid. This is not a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. So it has a novel mechanism of action. The cannabinoid system has been described, but not fully detailed, as omnineuromodulation. Mellor Davis and I wrote a couple papers years back about this. So it's very unique because this particular receptor modulates other receptors and how they respond and act. At the same time, it's a very primitive receptor. Cannabinoid receptors have been, identified in very primitive species. And so this means that it provides an opportunity for us to really focus on a new pain pathway. And medicinal marijuana, we have to realize, is not really regulated. And so having a synthetic regulated product that people can rely on, that has a standard of safety set by the FDA and efficacy measured and validated independently, allows us to have more confidence that it will work, and it will work and be safe in the right population. So with the no pain legislation, they're looking for non-opioid analgesics, particularly in the CMS or older population covered here in the United States. But you could see how that translates globally, because as I mentioned, that population pyramid is upside down now. And I think one of the big things that I hear when I talk to other pain experts out there and other drug developers is that the FDA is really looking to try to better understand this class of drugs. They want to work with the companies. And we had a very, I think, productive meeting with them. They gave us great guidance. So, it's like any other drug development plan. There are going to be ups and downs, but it's definitely worth uh, because of the novelty and the ability to deliver it once a month.
Yeah, and I can't help but think of Ozempic as an example of a drug that's applied once a month. People have gotten used to that, but also the price point is obviously much higher than if it were a daily medication. But I think the perception was that, to make money off these drugs, you have to have, keep filling people up with these pills. And now we popularize this once a month single injection methodology. And I think that's encouraging for you guys. Now, looking ahead to the upcoming year, we just turned the page into 2025. What are some of the strategic objectives you guys are striving for this year, Iris, and maybe some of the hopes you have for hitting milestones?
So we are, on scale of scaling up the process, taking this from after we got the FDA guidance from the lab to a scale up, preparing everything for first in human. This is the next. In parallel, we are doing the necessary test for the animal application. Just recently, we have shared that for the second time, we got a waiver from the CVM Veterinary Center in the FDA regarding our veterinary application. So we are really encouraged from this. And of course, we see our wellness subsidiary growing from quarter to quarter, including new products and demonstrating revenues.
Right. And Dr. Joseph, anything on your pathway this coming year that you want to share?
This year in 2025, we look forward to engaging further with the FDA. It's our intention also to put some grants out there. The NIH, NIDA, and other types of potential grants really should be explored. And so a team of experts that are looking at those non-diluted type of funding that also help validate the science. We also are going to approach the grant from the standpoint of the Department of Defense here in the United States as well. Remember, a lot of our soldiers and active military personnel do experience pain, back pain, particularly if they're in combat or active duty. And so this may be an option for them as well. You brought up a great point, though. We're looking at things like the GLP-1s. You mentioned one of them, Ozempic by name. And, where's the similarities? By reducing weight, you improve cardiovascular health, you improve your health of your liver, your kidneys, et cetera, the downstream beneficial health effects. The same thing goes with pain. When you are able to effectively address pain, you increase functionality, activities of daily living, quality, you improve sleep. When you improve sleep, you're functioning better during the day. Think about all of that and think about how that potentially has an impact on workers. I mean, unfortunately, chronic low back pain is very prevalent in people ages 45 through 60, right in that sweet spot of working. So we're going to look at the literature. We're going to data mine it more, do some more publications so that we can get alignment with the various stakeholders. And the various stakeholders all benefit here, not just the patient and their families, right? Because if you're in chronic pain, families, your support system is also very much affected. But the providers, it'll give them an option. They need optionality. There is no golden bullet that works in all pain patients all the time. And finally, the insurers and the providers. If they're able to provide effective type of medications, they can reduce it from a health economics and outcomes research standpoint, and have a better type of outcomes and long effect on their patients, increasing functionality, maybe reducing burden of pills or other types of medications. So we're going to look at that. So we're going to go forward with the FDA part. We're going to seek out non-dilutional grants and funding from agencies like NIH. We're going to be very active in data mining in the literature and talking with other key opinion leaders around the world.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a huge societal cost to pain. It keeps people on the sideline. It burdens, as you say, many people around an individual support structure. And yeah, I can see how, and it's also mysterious. I mean, pain is very mysterious at times. You don't know what's going to cure something, whether it's just time or a treatment. So this research, I'm sure, is going to go very far into helping solve one of these great problems that we have as our population does get older. Iris, just quickly, where's the best place for people to get information about the company? Where do you want to direct them?
To the website, www.innocanpharma.com. We are active on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. We try to share the information, but the website, everything, synchronized inside. Yeah,
you're very active on LinkedIn. I noticed that. And the company is also listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange, symbol INNO. This was an issuer update with InnoCan Pharma. Iris Bincovich, Dr. Joseph Pergolizzi. Thank you so much for sharing your time today, and we'll see you all soon.